Hello, my name is Beth, and I work at the Octavia Felon Public Library in Gallup, New Mexico. I'm here today to tell you about one of my favorite books that I've read this year. It's called A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles, and it was published in 2016. It spent several weeks on the bestseller list. I just read it this year and I just really loved it. Now, I know in this season of COVID, we are all going a little stir crazy, especially if you've been on quarantine. But how would you like to be under house arrest for 32 years? But you get to live here. This, I don't know if you can see the inside here. So this is a picture of the Hotel Metropole in Moscow, and it's one of the most historic and ritzy, swankiest hotels in all of Russia. It sits directly across from the Kremlin, and it's the backdrop of the book, A Gentleman in Moscow. And it's where Count Alexander Rostov spends his years on house arrest. Now, I love this book for a lot of reasons, but let me warn you that if you like books that are real action-packed and plot-driven, then maybe this is not the book for you. But if you enjoy reading about characters, getting to know characters that are really well-rounded and many-layered, and if you enjoy taking some time to ponder some things, then you will really enjoy this book. A Gentleman in Moscow explores like all the different people that the Count comes to know and love in the Metropole Hotel. And Towles does this through just a lovely storyline that has some twists at the end, but I'm not going to give that away. And also through little snippets of philosophy throughout the book, on everything about mastering your circumstances, to how the weather affects history, to losing freedom, loyalty to friends, the purpose of life. I mean, all these different things. So I first read this book on my Kindle, and I have so many things. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I highlighted so many little quotes. I'm going to read you one of them. This one is about coffee, and I love coffee, and I'm not alone in that, I don't think. It takes place on the roof of the Metropole, and the Count has met one of the maintenance guys. So I'm just going to read a short little thing here. As the coffee was being poured, the Count wondered whether this was the beginning or the end of the old man's day. Either way, he figured, a cup of coffee would really hit the spot. For what is more versatile than coffee? As at home in a tin cup, as in fine china, coffee can energize the industrious at dawn, calm the reflective at noon, or raise the spirits of the beleaguered in the middle of the night. Makes you really appreciate your cup of joe, doesn't it? And also, so this book, if you're into history, A Gentleman in Moscow is also a historical novel. And there are a ton of little rabbit holes that you can go down if you really want to learn about Russian history. So Russia in the 1920s was just fraught with all this upheaval. After World War I, Russia experienced civil war and famine and the introduction of communism, the Bolshevik Revolution, the rise of Stalin. And all of this turmoil and history is happening outside of the walls of the hotel where the Count is under house arrest. And the history plays a major part in the story as well. But now, like, I don't really know anything about Russian history, but I didn't feel like this deterred from the book at all. And in fact, I found it kind of interesting. And I will say, don't let the Russian names throw you, okay? You can do it. If you do decide to read A Gentleman in Moscow, I would definitely encourage you to read the prologue. So in the beginning of the book, there's just a few lines of poetry of this political poem that the Count is supposedly on house arrest for, and it gives a couple pages of the Count's court case with the Kremlin. I think it's important to read that because this book takes place in Russia in the 1920s, and the governing authorities, if you didn't write something or act in a way that they thought was appropriate, they really could have you shot for no real apparent reason. And in fact, the Count's accuser tells the Count, hey, if you step outside of this hotel, you will be shot. So I just want you to keep in mind that this is definitely about a different time and place as you read this novel. Okay, well, I hope you give this book a try. Again, it's A Gentleman in Moscow by Amur Tolles, and it is in print at the Octavia Felon Public Library, or online. You can buy it at Amazon if you like to buy your books. It is also available through Overdrive, so you can download it as an ebook or as an audiobook. If you have any questions about that aspect at all, just contact the Octavia Felon Public Library, because we're here to help you.